What's up, everybody? Welcome to the rLounge. Am I the a-hole for asking to take the son I gave up on vacation with me? So I, 26 female, was inspired to write this by another post that I saw that seemed similar to my situation. When I was 19, I gave birth to a boy named Alex. He's 7 now. I didn't bond with him at all when he was a baby, and even though I loved him more than anything, my life was ruined, and his would be too. I was failing my classes, I couldn't work, and I couldn't afford babysitting. I gave Alex up to my mom and stepdad, and they've raised him as their own ever since. My mom and stepdad took on the role of grandparents, and while I wasn't there for Alex as a baby, he knows me as mom, which I am so thankful that my mom allowed. Thankfully, my parents are tech savvy, so I was able to FaceTime with him every night. My grades went good, I have a degree, a good job, and am in a relationship I hope will lead to marriage. My fiancé, Jacques, 30 male, knows how important Alex is to me, even though he doesn't live with me and isn't being raised by me. My parents still have guardianship over Alex, but he started spending a weekend every month at my place. But we still FaceTime good morning, after school, and good night every day. Yesterday, Jacques surprised me with tickets to go with him to his cabin in Ontario for a week. Jacques really likes Alex and wants to get to know him better. Jacques is really impressed by how smart Alex is and thinks he could get him into the local private school he teaches at. But I'll admit that Alex doesn't really know him, even if he's told me he thinks he's cool. I know I can't force love, but if Jacques didn't respect my son even if I'm not raising him, I never would be with him. But I also don't feel I can get married unless Alex is okay with it either. So I asked Jacques if he could get a third ticket so Alex could come with us, and he agreed right away, even though it'd cost more. I called my mom and stepdad and asked if I could take Alex on vacation after Christmas, since he'll be off school for the next 2 weeks. My mom didn't seem that enthusiastic about it. My stepdad pretty angrily told me that he, my mom, and Alex already had plans for that week, and that they did not want to cancel them, and that he was really upset and hurt by me asking without even thinking they had something going on. He told me to go and sort out my priorities before phoning them back. I talked to a friend of mine after that, who I appreciate for being blunt, and she told me it was an a-hole thing to ask because I didn't focus on Alex enough to even know that he and my parents might have plans. And I've felt super terrible about it since because I don't want to be taking my parents for granted. I told Jacques, and he told me I wasn't wrong to ask since I wasn't demanding anything that my friend was wrong for saying that I was an a-hole, but I'm not sure. Our first reaction comes from Pay the Celt. You're the a-hole, but only a teeny tiny bit. You should have asked if Alex was available before just making plans on a time that he wasn't scheduled to be with you. It's not a big deal, you're by no means the biggest a-hole I've seen here, but you should have asked if he was available from his guardians before you just up and made plans for him. Update. Hey everyone, my fiancé learned of my account yesterday and advised me to make an update because I got voted a-hole. After I posted, I was going to go to my parents and apologize in person, but my stepdad came over instead. He took me to the ice cream shop he'd take me to when I was little to talk. I used some of your pointers in our talk. He apologized for making the comment about my priorities and said he was wrong. He told me how proud he was of how far I've come, how I'm the light of his life, and that he'd always stand by me. He told me he and mom were scared I'd try and take custody of Alex since I am finally ready to be a mom, and if that's what I want, then he'll support me. I told him I just want what's best for Alex, but my biggest fear is he'll grow up thinking I didn't love him and want him involved with me and Jacques because he's the most important thing to me, that I don't feel like I can get married or have more kids unless he's okay with it because he's my baby. We agreed to work something out after Jacques and I came back from the cabin. He gave me a big hug and a kiss on the forehead when he dropped me off. That was the last time I saw my stepdad. He had a massive heart attack when we were at the cabin and he passed. I don't like typing that. I moved back in with my mom and Alex because I don't want my mom to be lonely or for Alex to feel abandoned. Since then, I've kind of gotten to really be mom. I've been making all of Alex's food, dropping him off, picking him up, helping with homework, putting him to sleep, cuddling with him. Everything my stepdad did for me. It's tiring, but it's more rewarding than anything, and I just wish I could see my stepdad again and ask him if I'm doing a good job. Thankfully, my work has provided grief counseling, and I'm able to take Alex with me. I think it's helped him more than me because when my mom put up a photo of when my stepdad first took me fishing, and when I saw it, when I came home, I just broke down crying because I miss him so much. But then Alex came and hugged me and said, "Mommy, you don't need to cry." For my mom, I'm going to keep stepping up and be there for her. And for Alex, I'm going to try and get stronger than I am so I can be the mom he deserves. Thank you guys for giving me help before. I know things are a bit sad now, but I think the future is a bright one, and my stepdad always told me to look forward. Thanks. Our first response is from Peas Please 25. Your stepdad was a wonderful man. You and Alex were very lucky to have him. Next comment from Ellie Yuki. Obviously, we don't know each other, but I want to say I'm really proud of you and the growth you have made. You made a beautiful decision to allow your mom and stepdad to help raise your son. Your son will know the growth you have made and appreciate you for this. Being a mom is the most complicated and rewarding role we will ever play. It's beautiful that you have grown into that role, and I wish your family a wonderful life. My condolences to you and your family for your loss. Next thought from Miss Prickly Unicorn. OMG, OP, I'm so sorry. Had I read your original post, I wouldn't have called you the a-hole. It just sounded like a misunderstanding. Either way, the passing of your stepdad must be so very hard on you. I'm glad you're able to get grief counseling for you and your kiddo. I bet living with mom is helping all three of you get through this time. Lots of good vibes and love for you and your family. This sounds like the beginning of a new, huge chapter to your life. Born Cup 5441 chimes in. Reading your original post, I'm not sure how you got the a-hole outcome. Los J2303 says, it was, you're the a-hole, but only a tiny bit, in most of the comments. Like, people didn't think she was an a-hole, but if in this situation someone needs to be right and someone needs to be wrong, OP would be wrong. That's the idea I got from it anyway. Savan46 thinks, I'm so sorry for your loss. I read your first paragraph thinking what an amazing man your stepdad sounded. That's a huge loss. Crying doesn't mean you're not doing okay. It's been 4 years and I occasionally cry about losing my dad. There isn't a shortcut. You have to feel it. You carry what he gave you into the future, which is amazing. The OP closes this one out. I will. I'll try my hardest to keep making him proud. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for getting a guy fired for confronting me in the lobby where my dad works? This happened last Thursday, by the way. My dad is one of the executives at a media tech company. Before COVID, I, 16 male, was always there after school. It's a pretty big building. Some of the offices there are closed because people are working from home, so it's not so many people hanging in the lobby like before. My mom dropped me off there because my dad was in a meeting and we were going to go eat lunch after. I'm there waiting in the lobby with my backpack, and this guy from across keeps looking at me. He's there with some other people. The lobby is big, so there's always others that are there on a lunch break. Then he comes to me trying to be friendly at first, then he asks if I work in the building. It's obvious I don't work there, so I don't know why he asked. Everyone else is in suits, with their security pass sticking out. I told him I'm waiting for someone. He says only employees are allowed in the lobby because of COVID. It's obviously BS. They haven't made any rules like that. But he wouldn't leave me alone. The security guy that was at the front even told him so when he tried to ask him to escort me out. He looked annoyed by then and telling me that lots of homeless people have come in lying about that too, so to just leave already. Security at the desk told him I'm allowed to be there. It was back and forth for like almost 10 minutes. I'm already pissed. So I told him to just F off already. When I told him who my dad was, he laughed like he didn't believe me. My dad texted me then that he's outside, so all I said was, whatever. In the car, my dad saw I was mad, and after I told him what happened, he was asking me do I remember the guy's name, if he said which department he's from, and what he was wearing. I just told him what I remembered. He ended up finding out who he was and called up his supervisor. They let the guy go. My dad says the guy should have known better than to lie or cause a scene like that in their building. He told me to drop it. I just didn't think they were going to get that extreme with it. My dad was really mad about it. I keep thinking about it now. If I shouldn't have said anything at all. He was being a dick, yeah, and I was mad. Does it make me an a-hole that I helped get him fired, though? Our first reaction is from A Crying Rock. I mean, the security guy even told him to stop. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. All that happened is that he experienced consequences to his actions, not the a-hole. Next judgment from Rap2Right. Not the a-hole. You didn't get him fired. He got himself fired. He was abrasive, ignored the security guard's assurance that you were supposed to be there, lied about company policy, and essentially called you a liar by laughing when you finally dropped your dad's name. I am assuming you tried to avoid that because it totally feels like saying, "Don't you know who I am?" It was not your call and it wasn't your fault. That he got canned instead of written up suggests that he may have already been on thin ice. Update. So after I last posted, I tried talking to my dad again. He didn't want to tell me any details before, but I admitted to him I was feeling kind of bad about the guy and don't know if it was extreme to get him fired. My dad told me he's sorry for pushing it off. The reason is they obviously can't go into detail about an employee since that's their privacy. He told me though that they already had issues with him before and he's only been there a few months. When I told him about the guy, he had a feeling who it was. He just wanted a confirmation from me before he reported it to the guy's supervisor from that department. The decision wasn't up to my dad, but he told me since he was fired, he already had a lot of strikes. I don't know what else the guy did. All I know was my dad telling me it's not the first time this happened. Last time I was hanging out at the lobby a couple weeks ago waiting for my dad to finish for the day, the head security guy, not the one who was there the actual day, talked to me because we've known each other for years now. He told me he heard about what went down and he's sorry he wasn't there to say something. But he's glad they got him out because, his words, he was freaking crazy. At least now I know it wasn't because of me saying something and who my dad is in the company that got him fired when it looks like he was making other problems already too. I'm glad one of the comments pushed to talk to my dad about it, so now I don't feel so bad about what happened. He was open about it so that it doesn't make me feel guilty anymore. And I don't. Thanks for all the support in the comments and pointing out that it probably wasn't the first time the guy caused problems. You guys turned out to be right. First response from Solid Quote 9133. I'm happy that you went and talked to your dad and everything worked out. I love some good old communication. Your dad is right by saying that man is crazy. OP responds, yeah, I am too. I get why he couldn't say anything before because it's confidential and stuff, but at least he was a little bit more open after telling him my feelings even without saying what exactly the guy did other than what happened. Jammy913 responds, hey now, you can stop feeling guilty about it. You were never wrong in the first place, OP. That guy was rude to you and way too nosy. It wasn't even his business. Go forth and conquer. OP closes us out. It was so crazy. I've never had something like that happen to me before. Then lying that only employees are allowed in the lobby? So much BS.